All right. Well, I guess we're gonna make this professional right here. We've officially named the show the XFR Talk Show, episode number 2. Dustin Searcy, co-host. Welcome, man.
Thanks for having me, Pace. It's good to finally have a name on the show, and I think we're going to have a pretty good lineup of guests today. I'm excited to talk to these guys and girls. We got a girl today, too.
Yeah, we're gonna talk some breakaway roping today too.
You've been wanting to do that for a while, so
Well, I'm so curious on the breakaway deal because it's like it seemed like when they were all rodeo this summer, it was just NFR is going to be Thomas and Mack. Like I assumed it. I didn't really look any of that up, and then all of a sudden they're it's not the NFR. So
right. Yeah, it's kind of cool. Kelsey Domer, she used to be Kelsey Chase before she got married, but we actually grew up about 45 minutes to an hour away from each other, and we're the same age and junior rodeo together for a long time, so it'll be cool to talk to her. It's cool to see her doing good and all that kind of stuff. So, and then we got Junior Nogueira, Braiden Kreitz, and Clay Logan today, so it's kind of a jam-packed show.
we got world champions. What I think is going to be so much fun about this is last time we got to dive into a few things like with Buddy and Manny and Coy, and you kind of get a perspective that it's very realistic to what's going on in certain situations. And it kind of gets my wheels spinning a little bit, like the playoff format and things like that, and kind of watch these rodeos as they're turning out. So it's been fun. I think it's going to be cool how this one's going to turn out when Junior comes on. Definitely got some good questions for him. I'd like some Portuguese lessons. I'd like to know how to say champion. Is it campion or champion, or I don't know exactly how that goes.
I'm sure he can dive into that for you and get you a quick lesson.
Campion of the world.
There you go.
What's the over/under on how many motorbikes he won in Brazil? I know it's a big number.
I think I heard one of the announcers say it's like 57 or something crazy like that. That's wild.
57. Junior, we're talking about you. We are pretty official when you look at there on the screen. We got a logo and everything, and yeah, I feel like we're really moving on up. All right, well, we got 8-time NFR qualifier, 2-time world champion, 2014 Rookie of the Year, Junior Nogueira. Junior, did I say that right? Did I get your last name right? Because I feel like that's the one that gets messed up all the time.
Nogueira. No, you're good. You got it.
Nogueira.
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 Well, Junior, thank you for coming on the show. I know, obviously, us working with this in the technology side of things, we're still just kind of figuring it all out. But when you first got to the United States and were rodeoing, you were wild, man. You kind of took everyone by surprise, really, with what you're able to do and the success you're able to have, and then a lot of that is back home. You rope a lot of muleys, the jackpots. I think it's just a completely different style of team roping. So, what was that like to go from roping a lot in Brazil to competing in the United States? What was kind of some of the biggest changes? And then also, does that style that you kind of developed over there, do you think that helps at places like the Thomas and Mack where it is kind of hard to set up a heel and run and sometimes you do have to just pull off shots?
And Pacey, I don't know. It's a lot of change, honestly. From home to here, the cattle back home is way different. But something about we do out there, we go fast every time. Back in the day, all we get to watch is the NFR, so everybody thought just American cowboys, they rope fast, wide open the whole time.
Yeah.
So you can see everybody throws a little faster and try to, you know, just heel faster. But the steer is so different. They're more patterned, they're slow, long legs. I hear the cattle just run so fast, but I had to learn a lot and still learning every single day, because the way I learn and my habits just rope different than how we have to do here today. So all the time I have to just kind of hold myself back and just don't cut steps, because back there we like to go wide open. We pretty much attack the steer. I hear it doesn't work, so we got to really pay attention, right your spot, help your header, trying to keep the steer straight. But honestly, I think that's all the muleys and the wild shots I think helps too. It's pretty much my style. And now, I learn more how to use my horse, use my rope, and trying to finish the run faster. I think that's what's little details just make a big difference. Because like I said before, we compete against the best ropers in the whole world, and those guys, they rope great, they ride great horses. I love what I do, but I'm a big fan too to sit down and watch a good team roping, because I was a kid and I loved to watch, and I still like it. When I see a great run happen, I say, wow, that's unbelievable. And to see team roping nowadays, it's a pleasure just to sit down and watch and be part of it. It's amazing. For sure, it's a big blessing in my life.
Well, absolutely, man. And speaking of blessings, as you get your family life started and kind of get that aspect of your life going, how does that change your outlook on roping, or does it change it at all?
Man, yeah, I think change a lot. I don't know, maybe make you try a little harder. You don't even just think about yourself. You know what I'm saying? You're always thinking about somebody else, your family and kids, but I think it makes more fun, honestly. Sometimes when you're sad and bit up, kind of, and you get your family around, just to like recharge your batteries so you get more power to go back and work hard and then to try to change any situation and just to have your family around. At the end of the day, I don't know. It's a great feeling to have. It's just peaceful for me.
Yeah. So some kind of my last question for you on this is the lifestyles are completely different from Brazil to the United States. Everything's really fast paced here, and the rodeo season it's pretty crazy. What about that burnout, that getting really wore out? How do you try to come back from that, or do you get burned out a little bit feeling? And if so, then how do you try to manage that?
For sure I did, and for a couple of years, I would say we talked before. I was pretty kind of even like upset, doing good, roping good, but not very happy. Like because we get burned out back. All my family back home didn't have no families. It's completely different lifestyle, and we don't have no breaks. And back home, we always hang out at the house, practice the whole week, and then rope on the weekends. So that's it's a big difference out here. We just drive 10, 12 hours, 15 hours to rope one steer, and sometimes you go over there and don't do good on him. And then you got to drive back. So that's pretty hard on the guy. You know what I'm saying? Even not even your body, but on your horses and in your mind. It's a big battle out there. But I changed the way I look at it right now. I just say, you know what, you got to enjoy it. A lot of guys would just give their life just to be here. And I know one day when I be done with this, I'm going to miss it. Don't matter how bad you hate sometimes, but if you think when you get old and you're not going to be able to do this anymore, you're going to sit down and say, man, I wish I would be in this rodeo and just get to rope one steer against the best guys on the road, just to have that feel. So that's the way I'm thinking right now, and just give me a little more gas. Say, you know what, it's true. So let me try to take advantage of this steer because I don't know about tomorrow. So, but that's the other way I'm thinking right now. And set up goals. We set up goals, trying to make the NFR, and just every steer is very important for not even for the world championship, but for the NFR, for the day or little jackpot or big or small. You got to do your job every single time. Try to do the best we can.
Right.
So that's from and yeah.
Okay, I got one more question for Dustin Hobson. When you talk about
talk too much.
Yeah, no, it's me. I always just I go with a run on sentence like right now. But no, Junior, what I'm curious, when you say set up goals, what does that look like for you to set up goals? So how does that structure? When do you start doing it, and then how do you kind of define those and work towards those goals?
Man, always, we just try to do the best, try to ride the best horses you can. But my goal is everybody asks, what's your goals now? So man, I want to make the NFR. Doesn't matter what, you know what I'm saying? Like I'm gonna try to do my job the best I can, but that's the goal, to make the finals. So after you get there, or if you do good through the season, everybody's there nowadays has a chance to win the gold buckle. From the number one guys to the 15th, how much the NFR pays now. If the guys go over there and kill it, whoever has a great NFR, the best. You've seen a couple guys coming in on the bottom and live world champion. But you gotta be in there in the top 15. That's my goal every year. So even like we won the road, everybody say, okay, well, what's the goals now? I said, man, the same thing. Not gonna change anything. I wanna get better, working some things. I'm thinking I need to get better, but not gonna try to overdo it. But my goal is make the NFR, because that's the most important thing for every roping, and we do for living. So we need to try to be in there in the top 15 at the end of the season.
Yeah, Junior. First off, congrats on the NFR and winning winning your first Heelan gold buckle, I know that's something you've been after for a long time, but talk to a little bit about, like, you've talked a lot about your family and back home in Brazil, and I know how much that means to you. What was the reaction like back home in Brazil, not just throughout the NFR, but after round 10, whenever you guys did win the world title? I'm sure that had to be pretty cool.
Man, that was pretty cool. That was awesome. Like I said, it's a dream, and I've been close so many times, like 4 times in a row. 1 second reserve, come up short, and me and JoJo, I talked to Pace a long time ago. We just had to catch. It was a dream come true. And the last one, we just have to stop, and he ended up losing his rope, but it's part of team roping. We still had a great NFR, but it is trying to win the gold buckle is something I've been after for a long time, and. But like I said, this year I kind of like, you know what? I'm not going to be defeated. I'm going to try the hard as I can. But if it happens, happens. If not, not. But to see you after you get it done for your family and friends and even back home, man, for them, it's like a World Cup. Everybody watching and they all freaking out. They're happy and then send texts and just like, I think that's just really means something, to make somebody really happy about something you've done. They for them, I kind of like feel like we represent them, and the same thing as their family. When you win it, just your family's so happy to see how long you guys, we've been working and getting close and never give up. That's just pretty hard, but that's pretty nice to get it done. That was a good feeling.
Yeah. So you talk about Brazil a lot. Do you ever feel like you're not just representing your family, but you're also representing your home country of Brazil a lot too? Is that kind of how you feel about it?
Man, yeah, I think so too. Helps a lot of ropers, and I was a kid back home and always dreaming to come over here and rope. And I know a lot of guys, even great ropers, they always want to come over here and get a chance to rope. Or we grew up watching all the videos, and now it's way easier with all the technology, X Factor. We can get to watch and you see kids roping outstanding back home. They're just like unreal. And my dad, he used to have old tapes, and that's how we watch over and over. Jake Barnes, Clayo, and Walt Woodard, Leo Camarillo, Julio Moreno. That's what we watch it over and over and over. And but nowadays it's amazing to be, like I said, to be part of the whole sport and see how much change in all the technology. And then I feel like I represent them too, a bunch. And if you see, even back home, how many kids I don't even know it anymore because I've been here for a while now. Rope outstanding. It's just like phenomenal. They become professional. I have no idea. When I came over here, they're just a little bitty kids. And I'm not saying just because me, but just because the whole picture and everything they get to watch and dream of it, they become a great ropers. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, for sure. So last question real quick before just about the NFR, but what was different? You guys prepare, and I know you and Caleb both worked so hard at it. What did you do in preparation any different this year than in previous years before the finals?
Man, we rope a lot. We try to get some good steers, and we rope a lot of steers. But I don't think this year we tried too hard. I guess like we did try hard. Don't take me wrong, but we probably rope more steers than everybody every year before we get there, and they set up the arena. But on the end of the season, we done so good, and the horses working together, and we just try to keep that, the same thing, the same momentum. We change a couple little things on the runs, and I think that's what make a big difference on it, But we try to rope pretty much similar steers we rope at the NFR. A lot of guys do that. Try to get some Mexican steers, set the arena, and trying to make quality. We this year I think we make good quality runs and a few horses, and just relax and don't try to change too much, because sometimes I think you're roping good and then you just want more, and then you start getting a little tired, and your horse is getting a little tired, and then you start fighting through instead of just keep everything together. If everything goes good, working good, so perfect. Don't even change nothing and see what happened. If you're prepared, I feel like I'm prepared. I've done everything I could, so now on, let's see what happened.
Yeah.
So at the finals this year and kind of prepping for it, you and Caleb obviously decided to go. You roped different partners for 1 year, which it didn't seem right. Like it just seemed like every time I expect you guys to rope together, and there's just some of those guys that, man, it just feels right. So what makes that with your team that you guys are you guys just fit together so good and decided to run it back after splitting up for 1 year.
I know, yeah, that's something else too. Everybody asking that. Yeah, we still good friends. We just decided to do something different, and rope snow was fun too. We rope. It was different experience, but like everybody said, man, it doesn't sound like the same. I know. And then we got back together. I think that was good. I think everything happens for a reason. When you got back together, we had to just realize a couple of things. We just changed a little things and just probably appreciate more what we had. And we rope good together. I think it's like we talked before. I think it's for a reason. Me and Caleb roped together since the first time. We roped first year, we start winning, and we never even, roped together. It's just something that we just start clicking and roping, and we've been so successful for so many years, and then getting better and better. And shoot, he's a great partner. That guy's one of the probably the very best on his game, and he ropes so good, so talent. And he's a great partner, and I think this go both ways. When you're a good partner, I think help the team, and you try to make sure both are the same page and you're thinking the same, have the same goals. I think makes life easier, and the whole team do better too.
Right. So, kind of last question with you guys at the finals this year. His heading was a little bit different. It looked like his preparation was just a little bit different. I think. What did that look like? What Caleb tried to do that was kind of different from the past? That I know he swapped ropes and kind of got one he could swing just maybe a little bit quicker. I'm not quite sure all that went into it, but what was his game plan, and then how did you try to feed into that going in the finals?
Oh, honestly, I don't know that much about heading, but we tried just to rope. We tried just to rope every steer. Try to act like it's one header. But if something bad happened, not trying to, if you had a bad feeling, something going, not feel very good, don't try to take a not very smart shot. But we just pretty much trying to rope every steer every night instead of when you just get out there trying not to miss and catch every steer, and instead of just go over there and rope. I think that's why Caleb did. He was way more aggressive. And even though sometimes didn't go very good, I don't know, he got the bear, but he just stayed down, rope, freed up his horse. So that showed a lot of, maturity. He know what he was doing. He's uncontrolled the whole time, and that's what's make a big difference. So that's what I think we changed. You just go over there and just rope instead of just like, well, we need to stay hooking average, because we know the average is a big fact on the world title every year. But we got to go after too, because sometimes the guy go over there and win 3 rounds. He's pretty much won the average, and if they place a couple more times, it's hard to get around him. And we rope every steer. I thought we talked before, so man, it's like a Cody, everybody goes to Cody, they're trying their guts off, and one steer, one header, and nobody wants to miss, but you want to make sure you catch him too fast. So that's pretty much I think what we done it and work out perfect.
Yeah, you got to figure out how to ride that line between being aggressive and then when things get a little bit funky in that small arena, how to kind of make the adjustments and still basically get a time and just survive and stay in that average. What about Fort Worth this year, Junior? Did you like that format? And congratulations, winning the rodeo over there. And how does that kind of help with momentum for the winter rodeos?
Yeah, whoa, that was awesome, man. Even always, Fort Worth is one of my favorite rodeos, and I made a short round a couple of times. I think I won 3rd or 4th one year, and it's a couple rodeos you always want to win, just to have the little buckle. And this year was pretty cool on that arena, and the format was good. It's perfect. We made it back. I think it was fair for everybody. The steers I think it was pretty much fair for everybody. Everybody had a good chance to do good and win, and we made it back. We didn't do very good in our first one. We come back, had to make a really good run. We done it, made it back in the finals, roped one more, and then we came back. And I thought the final deal, everybody has a good chance on every steer. I think the short round is pretty fair, but Caleb did a great job. And we had that steer before he was our second one in the second round. We didn't do very good on him. He tried a little harder, but I watched a couple runs at Fort Worth on him. He was a lot better, slowed down a little bit more, and I know I need to get really good start because Caleb was hooking on him fast too. Didn't want to be late.
Yeah, that's that guy can come with it from a long ways away, especially like that at those indoor rodeos when the barrier get a little bit longer, and you're like, man, this guy can really, really reach. It's wild the variety of shots that he can pull off at just different situations.
Junior, talking about Fort Worth, how important is it to have a big win like Fort Worth? I mean, you win 20,000 one hit right there, and all of a sudden that shoots you all the way up in the standings. How important is it to have a good winner and have a big hit like Fort Worth in the wintertime?
Oh man, that's amazing to get to win, that much money in one rodeo and just to help a whole winter time. That's unbelievable. Make you more, I don't know, more comfortable, but shoot, yeah, it's awesome just to win that money and to know we have more great rodeos coming along is pretty cool. It just always, I never had we're done good, but never had amazing, winter like, oh man, I mean, winter rodeos, we're just done really good. And always in the summertime, it's when we click and start going. But shoot, to win that rodeo and big hit help us a bunch and probably more confidence too, more relaxed. But we're so excited to have some way more rodeos, good rodeos coming out too.
Awesome. Well, Junior, I just got one last question before you go. I remember talking to you a little bit about this at a rodeo somewhere, but you're talking about missing steers at jackpots and how you would buy steers that would take weird hops or, stuff that you would see maybe at a jackpot that you weren't quite ready for on them. What made you decide to start doing that? Like going to the stock contractor and buying a steer from a rope and putting them in your practice pit?
I just buy a few of those and just it's something I just always like it, even back home too. It's not when you see a weird steer crazy, I say, man, how we could catch that steer? Always people give a rerun or just, man, I like to have this one. That's the same. I'm just something I always had is like my lead steer. That's the one that started. So I was in Arizona leaving with Jake. So I went with my friend Robert Reynoso to practice with some amateur guys, good friends out there we had. So they had the slow steer, red, big horns. First time they rope him, I rope every steer. I'm just playing good steers, just trainers. The amateur guys just rope every day. So I go out there, that steer hop, I just throw my rope and never touch him. I said, hey, and everybody make fun of me and they laughed. So, all right. So came back in the second round. I asked him, can I run him again? He said, oh, yeah. So then he trot the whole time. And they rope him. When he turned, they pull him. I'm telling you, that son of a gun, he is wide-legged, just trotting. His toes is like that far from the ground. I not even touch him again. That just kind of like, I said, man, something's wrong with that steer, So then after we done roping, they just take the wraps off and they say, well, those big ones are going to put a mark on them. We're going to take them to the cell. And I say, what about this red one out here? Oh, he's no good anymore. He just trots. I said, I want to buy him. He said, oh, I'll give him to you. Come pick him up. So I didn't have no truck, no trailer. I borrowed Sean Grant's truck and trailer, drove an hour and a half to pick him up and bring him home. And he just turned a great lead steer. And Jake used him for a long time. Sean Grant, when we rode, Sean cap him and use him as a lead steer, train a bunch of horses, and he's still at the house. So that's where we started. But I just have him and one more now. I'm not buying all those crazy steers anymore.
You're shrinking down the crazy steer business is what you're saying.
The ones nobody likes, I like him.
Yeah, I mean, and really, that it makes a lot of sense because, like, even as a header, you run into horns that you haven't seen before, something like that, and then when you miss one like that, you're like, man, they really can point out a lot of differences in maybe how your swing or what you do with your rope and that you run into. So that makes it pretty cool to think. I've never heard of anyone doing that till you.
Yeah, and shoot, Jake does that a lot. When you go over there, Jake Barnes, he got steers with huge horns. They trot, they head duckers. He just always challenges himself to get better. So I learned that probably from Jake. Just you got to slow down, but you want to make sure you have a good loop. So Jake does that all the time. He used to have my steer had a bad head trick. And he used to have heifers out there. The horns are huge, and they just stay out there, duck her head, and he just, wow. I said, man, this guy is unbelievable.
Yeah.
Hey, Junior, we appreciate your time, but I was going to ask you just one last question. You just had your second child, and is a little baby boy, correct? Is that right?
Yeah. Yes.
And what did you name him?
I named him Jake. Lucinae. Nogueira. Yeah.
There you go. Uh-huh. So obviously Jake has been a huge part of your life, and he's like a father figure to you, if I'm not mistaken. So just real quick, how special is that to to have that connection and that friendship with Jake, and how just what does that mean to you?
Man, Jake, he means, the whole world to me. And what he done to me, he was pretty much like my dad. He's the one giving me all the opportunity, bring me in under his wings. And him and Tony, his wife, Mama Tony, they're being out, a huge part of my life. And he's like a dad to me. It's crazy. Like I lost my dad when I was pretty young. I was turning 6. My mom, she's been amazing, to me. She's just been a really mom and dad, and she done a great job. But when I moved up here, I didn't know nothing. Jake just brought me in, and he really taught me how to become a professional, how to become a man, and tough, because he's super tough. He's a warrior, man, and and we have a great relationship. And like I said, for sure, that gold buckle and everything is going through my life, my whole life, and family. What we got going on is we need to thank him. But as for sure, it was God dream, because our story could not happen without God's favor, to put us together. And Jake was retired, and then put that desire in Jake's heart, and I didn't have nothing. And then put amazing people on our way, on our path, just helping go through is that was something we can't explain. And I can't be, I don't know how to repay him or repay everybody who helped us in our team. But Jake was we talk a lot, text, and he's just he's just amazing. And I had my little boy, and I found out it was a boy, and everybody asking for the names, and I said, dude, I don't know how to name them. I really want to put I'm Junior, because my dad, was a great cowboy. And it's crazy, something about Jake and my dad, they're exactly the same age. So, if my dad was alive, they're exactly the same age. So I just want to name him, to after probably my dad. It'll be hard to say my first name. And I had right after I won it. Even my wife and family didn't go to NFR because I was supposed to have the baby anytime. So after I won it, I drove to Arizona, and my wife called me. I had to get on the flight, and I had the whole story just as kind of like a movie going through my mind. And I said I gotta name him Jake Lucine Nogueira, because after Jake Barnes with my dad here, he's American. Lucine is my father's name too. And they might put my wife, like we do put a wife's name, Gasparin Nogueira, so that's his name, Jake Lucine.
That's awesome. Congratulations, man. Yeah. Wow. That's a great story. And it's good.
Mm-hmm.
Talk about a journey, man. Your life it's been pretty impressive. It's crazy to think that, when you started out there in Arizona, for the first time that I had seen you, and to where you're at now, it's been quite the journey, man. And you've done a great job, and getting around a guy like Jake Barnes probably wasn't a bad thing. That guy's he's a man, and he's competitive, and that's cool. And then to have you guys get that relationship special.
Yeah, he's not easy to be around. He's super tough, every single day. He's no day offs, and he's hard worker. Probably he's very intense, more than everybody. And the way he treats himself, he's gonna treat you too. So he's not gonna be no different, because he's a warrior. That's something about Jake,
Can you beat him? Oh, sorry. Can you beat him in ping pong? You got him in ping pong yet?
I think I got him now. But no, he was good. I think I just beat him one time, maybe 2. He's gonna say nah. He's pretty good. I think I got him now. I think I'm good now. I step up on my phone game a little bit.
I got a funny one for you. I roped with that Cody Pearson for quite some time, and Cody and Jake had roped together and spent a lot of time. And this Cody can play some ping pong. I cannot beat Cody at all. And I asked him, like, what's it like playing with Jake? He's like, well, there for a while, Jake he'd kill me. And then he said, I figured it out, and I started playing him pretty good. And then pretty soon I beat him a few times, and then Jake would make me go out there and play basketball. And Cody's like 5'8", and Jake's just backing him up in the post.
Jake's 6'4".
Yeah, he's just handling him.
Say, how you like now? You want to play more?
And then I seen Jake that summer. That was the year that you guys made the first NFR, and I was asking him about it. I was like, hey, you've been playing that Cody in any ping pong here lately? And he's like, no, we hadn't played for a while. I was like, can you get him pretty good? And he's like, oh yeah. He wouldn't admit to even losing to him ever. So that guy, he's competitive.
He's still, man, every day.
Well, Junior, we really appreciate you coming on. congratulations on the world title. I know that, I mean, your resume is pretty amazing, winning the all-around title to now the healing title, and just everything you've done. Thanks again. I really appreciate it, man.
Man, thanks you guys for having me here, and thanks for everything you guys do for the sport. That's an honor, and you guys put a lot into too, and to get everybody to know us more and watch the best of the best is pretty cool. Thank you guys.
Thanks, Junior. We appreciate it, and good best of luck to you this year.
Thanks, man. We'll see you.
See you up soon.
I think I can get him in some ping pong.
You think you got him?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go buy a new table. Probably clear the
We'll
tack room out. Yeah.
Redo the studio in here and make it into a ping pong room.
The funny thing about it though, when you play ping pong, is it's really fun if you're beating guys, but then when you just get like dominated and you're like,
Yeah.
I don't have a chance. That's when I really started to lose enthusiasm, and that's what happened when Pearson.
I'd
played
never
me.
played until college, and my roommate that I lived with, he played tennis in high school, and so he's like, "Let's go get a ping pong table," and I'm like, "Yeah, I'm gonna work this guy over," like got pretty good hand-eye coordination, I thought, and no, it was a rough couple months till I started to figure out how to play.
Yeah, I started watching videos on YouTube and realized that like what I had to do to probably be competitive against Cody, and I quit. That was so that's it for me. What about Junior though? Have you? I mean, I went over to his house probably last spring, I think, and he could put a rope on that steer, like walk up and put a rope on his lead steer, and they'll lead him around, and he could load him in the trailer, and he could do a lot with that steer. And what that really meant to me is he's taken that steer with him everywhere, and got a lot of reps in, and done a lot. As a healer, what do you think that is as far as his like tenacity that you see from him to work on that, like buy those steers, get a lead steer like that, and work on that loop that's kind of that trap loop, or that not a traditional heel shot that you see?
Yeah, first of all, I think what makes Junior special is he was around Jake, and he talked about it just now about how he's a warrior, and I think Junior has that mentality too. Like he's got some grit in him. Like I think Clay Trine says it about a lot of healers. He's like, that guy's got some dog in him. You know? And so, and I think when you want it and you have that burning desire deep down inside of you, you'll stay out there until your hands are bloody, roping that lead steer until he can't walk no more. And, I think that just goes to show you, I mean, if you want to go ask the stock contractor at the roping if he'll sell you the steer that you just roped the leg on, that means something to you. If you're going to go to that extreme, like, hey, I want to figure out how to rope this steer in case there's another one like him, I don't want to mess up again. And that's just a different mentality, I think.
Yeah, some dog. I mean, that really is it. And I just remember seeing that guy after he, like, I think it was Odessa a couple of years ago. I think it was when he healed that steer that like almost went down in the 10th round, and they didn't win the world, but it was when he healed him, they were going to win the world unless Clay and Paul, right?
Yeah.
Clay and Paul was the only team that could do anything about it, and they did. They made a great run and ended up winning the world. But Junior was still like, he was kind of sad, like he was disappointed, I guess.
I can't imagine how deflating that had to have been for him to pull off arguably one of the best heel shots we've ever seen ever.
Yeah.
For a gold buckle in the 10th round.
Like it was storybook.
At the height of the peak of everything. And then the next team to come behind you and just, oh yeah, we're going to go 4-6 or 4-4 or whatever, and jerk the gold buckle right back out from underneath you.
Yeah.
That had to have been just a deflating moment. I can't imagine trying to show up at Odessa and be excited the next year, not even 30 days later.
Yeah. And I think that's the thing. When you get around a guy like that, that's the expectations, is he wants to make the NFR because he knows he's got a chance to win the world, and they feel like they're the most prepared at the NFR will shine through. And it's a hard place to win world titles over there. It's a hard rodeo to make it go good for you. And I think that's just kind of shows you what he's been able to do. And, kind of the guy's got some tenacity. Like he'll really get after it. So,
right.
All right. Well, we're going to go to a commercial right quick, and then we're going to come on with Braiden Kreitz. X Factor Roping is proud to partner with NRS.
Since 1986, NRS has been providing you with everything that is all things Western. Use our code XFactor for a discount on your online purchases. You can shop in person 7 days a week at NRS's locations in the heart of Texas and Arizona's team roping country, or you can shop 24/7 at nrsworld.com.
Don't forget to use promo code XFactor for a 10% discount. All right, well, we're back from commercial. Braiden Kreitz,
Perfect.
I appreciate you coming on, man. You had a very good year last year, finished in the top 25, had a pretty good chance to make the finals all year long, and you guys were able to do good at Fort Worth the other day. So thank you for joining us, man.
Hey, thanks for having me.
All right, man. Well, let's obviously this is kind of a new thing, so we're just trying to get a feel for what it's been like for some of these guys that are kind of up and coming. And your deal's a little bit different, because the first time I seen you rope, you were heading for Buddy Hawkins at some rodeos, and I was like, man, who is this guy? Like the longest run I think I seen you make was 4.4, and I don't believe you got closer than 2 coils on one steer that I watched you run. Like I was just like, this guy, dude, he just hits a line and throws all of his rope, turns him back, and Buddy heels him. Like, I've never seen this. I hadn't really seen this guy rope hardly at all. And he's going to make the finals heading, and he's only going to start rodeoing in like the middle of the summer or something like that. So, obviously, man, with that being a header, what was kind of the biggest challenge heading at the pro rodeos? And then how does that help you become a better partner, when you're a healer,
Yeah, and heading, my biggest thing was keeping my horses working. Like, that horse was really good, and I pretty well tried to ruin him when I learned how to head. I healed forever, all through high school, college. Zach had that yellow horse, Zach Small, my brother-in-law, let me ride that yellow horse. When I was learning how to win, it was at all these amateur rodeos up here in Northeast Oklahoma where you had to be super fast all the time. So I pretty much got my horse turning straight back, learning how to head. And then when I got out there, man, just as soon as, if a guy's horse ain't running, it is borderline impossible to win out there. And I had a really hard time keeping my head horse running on account I just wanted to throw my rope.
That's a big challenge for headers.
I just had one horse, and when I started with buds, it went great for about the first 2 weeks, and then my horse got a little tighter, and the boxes got a little longer, and the barriers got a little longer, and man, it went to crap fast. Whenever I come home, it took me quite a while to figure out how to ride my head horses again. And then right after that, is when I actually started healing again. And man, it just like I know how hard it is out there to head, and I feel like it makes me mad when I see guys get mad at their partner, healers get mad at their header. Like, I know how hard it is out there. Like, if you think you can do it, then get you some of it.
Yeah. That's
it helps me be supportive of my guy. I know it's hard to catch out there.
So with that, going to healing from, obviously you healed a whole bunch, and you're a healer, you're pretty aggressive. So what's that mentality like, when you do kind of, now you've been healing, it's quite a lot, and you guys had a pretty big year last year. So what is your mentality? Like, how do you try to set that up and kind of know, having that experience from the rodeos? Because I think heading, you've got to be really aware of the arena and the boxes and what the steers play like, where healing, it's more you react just probably a little bit more, I'd say.
It gave me a lot of insight on, like now I always ask my partner, ask Warman what the barrier is, just because I know from when I headed, like, if the barrier is a foot and a half over, your healer jumps him, he's going to be in front of your header before he can clear the box. It helps me a lot. If anything, just getting my position down, being able to get down the pin enough, and not foul my header up. Try to help my header as much as I can to not foul him up.
Right, and just understanding hazing over those longer boxes and scores, because it is a different deal where a steer might get out there kind of on a 1 or 2 foot over barrier when they're way out there. You don't really want to push on them too late or too soon, or let them get right or too far left. As those boxes get deeper, when those patterns change on those steers, it makes it real hard to make good runs, I think.
Absolutely, I agree.
So this year, like, what's going to be the biggest change, or do you guys try to change something going into this rodeo season? You obviously were really close to making the finals, so you kind of got that. Hey, it's kind of that bittersweet thing. Like, you can do it, but then also you might feel like, hey, if I could make some adjustments or do something a little bit different, that'll get me over the top. So how do you look at your season from last year, and what do you do for this year that makes it different?
Man, I think we're just going to try to catch more. We're a really fast team. We don't generally catch too slow. I think, and I know for me, I'm going to try to focus. I mean, one headers are great, but gosh dang, there's a lot of money in them 2 and 3 headers, and that's where a guy can win 2 or 3 checks and get it racked up fast. And we had a little heck, and like in the Northwest, we got to drawing bad, and then we got to fighting it, and it was. If you get to fighting and it gets bad, I'm just going to try to stay a little more calm and even. Just try to keep doing my job all year and not get wrapped up in trying to make the finals. Just go out there and try to win. Right.
Well, going into Fort Worth, you guys were able to win good over there, and that format for your guys' run, what does that kind of seem like with how the format works at these playoff rodeos, and then your guys' run? What's the strategy behind it, trying to get to these finals and get where they pay the big money like that?
Man, it plays right into our game. Like I said, we rarely catch too slow. So like right there in every one of those we run at Fort Worth, we knew if we get cow caught, we're going to probably win money and keep advancing. Which I don't know if everybody has that mentality, but like I said, when we catch, we're fast, and we just tried to slow down and catch every cow, and it worked out really good for us. Really lucky to do good down there.
Yeah, you guys did do good over there at Fort Worth. Made it all the way to the finals. You guys won second, I believe. Is that right?
Yep.
Okay, and second paid $12,000. How much money total did you win out there?
A little over 18,000. I think like 18,400.
Yeah, so $18,000. That's a big boost in the wintertime. Big checks are hard to find, and you might be 2 weeks before you run another rodeo steer. I'm just depending on what your schedule's like. So talk about Fort Worth, and that gives you a big boost. Like, what does that do for your confidence and the momentum for you guys as a team to try to have the best winners possible, to where you don't have to win 60,000 in the summertime?
Oh, it's huge for us. I think when we got to Reno last year, we had 20,000. We have 20,001 today, and I was so gosh dang broke when I got down there. I couldn't buy a hot dog, and I haven't been able to go to many jackpots and stuff that I need to be going to because I haven't had the dough. And it's huge for me to not be worrying about money now. Now I can just go rope and not have to win to be able to pay for fuel to get home. It was huge for me. I'm very thankful for it.
You talk about that. I mean, that's a real topic for a lot of people that rope for a living, especially. What is that mentality? I mean, is it easier for you? Because some people, they thrive in that position to where like they turn into an absolute winner whenever they're on their last dollar. But I know for me, it's a lot easier for me to back in the box and not be near as stressed out and worried about stuff if I've got a bankroll of 20,000 behind me. Not worried about, can I go eat a steak dinner tonight if I want to?
Right. I try my best to live my life like I've got money. I try to eat good. I try to treat myself. I try to mentally treat myself like a winner, and hopefully I can manifest that into winning something. But man, it's a heck of a lot easier to win whenever you don't just have to. If I miss this cow, I'm going to have to ride my horse home.
Right. Yeah. And talking about your guys' run, and you said you guys, when you catch, you're fast enough usually, and I think that couldn't be any more true, because you and Jake are both really aggressive. But how do you try to balance that to where, like you said, this year you're going to try to catch more steers? How do you balance that to where like you don't back off too much, but you're going to have maybe a little higher percentage shot or something like that? what goes into that balance of trying to find that happy medium between being really aggressive but not messing up too much either?
For me, it's trying to get in a good spot. I feel like last year I rode that chestnut horse all year last year, and he's a really good horse, but I get in some funny spots on him, and it makes it hard. And the sorrel horse I rode at Fort Worth, I rode a little bit last year, and I'm just cracking him out this winter, and I plan on riding him everywhere. And man, he's so gosh dang easy to heel him on. I think I'm gonna be able to get in a better spot, and if I can get in a good spot, I think I got a way higher catch percentage. It's so much easier for me to catch on that horse. He gets in a good spot, and I can see the cow, and everything goes good.
Yeah,
that's what I'm going to try to just really focus on, getting in a good spot, catching the cow.
Right. Well, I mean, you've got a good chunk of money won so far this year. Obviously your goal is to make the NFR. Everybody's goal is to win a gold buckle, but do you have any specific goals other than that this year, and what's the game plan to attain that?
Man, really just making the finals. Man, like I said, this winter fits into us, and the buildings and the shorter setups were tough. Orman can head them as fast as anybody in the world, and I plan on trying to rack up as much as we can this winter, and then just cruise all summer is what I'd like to do.
That sounds like a really good plan. I like that. You guys are off to a real good start.
Plan out there though, is just win $50,000 in the winter and just ease around all summer.
Yeah,
right, yeah.
Maybe go on a rafting trip over there, and when you get out to Estes Park.
Maybe just enter Estes and not Casper and Sheridan and all that.
Right, just camp out up there, play some golf, maybe have some fun.
Right, yeah. Eat a steak or two, also. Treat yourself.
Now we're talking.
Right.
Well, you know what I really like about your guys' team is a lot of guys will split up every year, and it seems like I don't know if that's quite the deal. I feel like a lot of guys kind of just get tired of being around the same partner, but it's like you guys your run looks good, and there was times where it was good, and there was times where I'm sure you guys were both drawing bad and make it. I'm sure you guys each made mistakes, but what goes into that conversation to you guys decide to stay with it this year, and what do you like so much about your partner being able to do that?
Man, Orman's a great dude, and he's easy to be around, and I might miss half a dozen in a row, and he ain't worried about it. He like first year we were open in 2020, I crossfired one somewhere, Dillon, Montana or something. It was the coldest rodeo in the world.
Yeah, it was Dillon, Montana. I can guarantee it.
Yeah.
7 a.m. slack, and, Labor Day weekend. Yeah.
And, and I was mad at myself back there, crossfired to win money. And he's supportive as heck. He's like, hey, don't quit throwing it. I had missed 3 or 4 that week already. And he said, don't quit throwing that there. He said, you're going to catch them. Just keep throwing down. You're going to get them caught. And we're in the same boat. Like I said, I know how hard it is to head, and I'm never going to be mad at a partner for missing. And I feel like we support each other good, and we get along good together. I think that's the biggest thing. A guy can't get down on his partner. If you get down on your partner and get to doubt your partner, man, it goes downhill real fast. I think.
Yeah, man, Brye. My last question for you is just: you have such a good attitude towards rodeo, and I've been around you and I've known you for quite a while, and you're just a happy-go-lucky guy. I've never seen you down ever. You're always laughing and smiling, talking to people, and rodeo, and it's so hard to be that way because we lose more than we win. And so how do you have that mentality, and how do you keep that throughout the whole year and stay consistent with that way of thinking and that much positivity?
Man, I try to just, like I said, I know, especially open with Orman, I know if we can catch the cow, we're going to win. There's no setup in the world I think we can't win at. So guys just got to have a short memory. You miss, give yourself 10, 15 minutes to be mad about it, and then get over it, because that one don't matter no more. You got to go win at the next one. And that's the way I try to look at it. I might mess up, but heck, a guy can't dwell on that, because there's so much money to be won going forward. You got to just forget about it and just keep going on. Stay positive. Because if you get negative, just like if you get down on your partner, if you're negative at yourself and you're mad at yourself, man, you're already in your head when you're back in the box. You've just got to stay positive and not worry about it.
Yeah, that staying out of your head, that's probably one of the biggest challenges, right? And talk about the mentality of not having money when and being able to win, because that does build something. because if you can heel steers and not have any money and then believe that you can do it, as you keep working it, like to where you get in situations like you are now, how do you kind of build momentum or like reflect on that to know, hey, I'm willing to fight, you know, that's where I was at and this is where I'm at now. How does that kind of work for you?
Man, it motivates me a lot because this is the only way I really know how to make good money. You know, I work, my in-laws have an embryo business we do embryo work for cattle, and I get to work for them. And I'm very blessed to have the opportunity to come home and make some money. But at the same time, if I don't win rodeo and I'm not actually making any money, it's hard to stack anything up. And rodeo's in a very expensive game. It costs a lot to go, especially living. You know, I live 6 hours from the heart of team roping country right now, so I'm driving all the time. But man, it's a big motivator. And then, like I said, when you get mad enough to go win on your last dollar, then it's like when you got money, it's easy. Like heck, I already know how to win. Now I just got to go do it, you know?
Yeah. You can just kind of keep putting it up because you kind of already know, you've proved it to yourself that you've got what it takes, right? And I think that
Right.
allows that.
Right.
So, you know, my last question for you, man, where you're not, like you said, not in the heart of team roping country, and there's a lot of guys out there that or a lot of kids, I'd say, that want to rope for a living and like learn how to do it. You know, what's kind of been the biggest thing that's helped you out as far as maybe being a little bit of efficient with your money, getting and then also being able to get some good runs at the jackpots and rodeos, because that's also a challenge when you're not around those guys.
Right, man. You know, Heading actually helped me a lot because I roped with a guy that was very known. Everybody went to watch Buddy, so in watching Buddy, they watched me, so they kind of got my name in their head. Well, then when I went to heeling, I heeled for Kel Markham that first year back. We placed at the BFI, did good at the BFI once again. Got my name out there a little bit. That's the biggest thing, to get partners down there. You know, in the heart of Ropinville, whenever you're not there, is people have to be thinking about you. You know, if you don't show up, you don't win, nobody ever thinks about you. So guys got to get out there and get seen and let people know who you are. And I'm lucky. My second partner is Jake Clay, who lives an hour from me. We get to practice all the time, and we can go together a bunch. But like with Orman, when I started roping with Orman, actually Tyler Worley told me, he's like, "Hey, Orman needs a partner." Called him, said, "Hey, you want to rope?" He said, "Sure, let's do it." One of those deals where I guess he'd heard about me enough. He seemed like it was worth the risk to rope with an ex-header, and here we are. You know?
Well, man, and honestly, when you were heading, you put on a show. Those runs were wild. I just remember thinking,
Aggressive.
Yeah, this guy
Wild
ain't
is
afraid.
exactly how I would describe it.
Hey, speaking, I lied to you. I have one more question for you. And for the people that don't know, your wife is Courtney Small, and she heads really good.
Right.
If I poured truth serum in you, is the real reason why you stopped heading is because you were ruining all of her head horses? Is that why?
No, she was the only one that could keep my head horses working. I'd mess them up with rodeos and bring them home and let her fix them for me.
Is that why you married her, so she could fix your head horses for you?
Gosh dang, I had to have somebody take care of all my stuff for me, you know?
Maybe that's why I went to healing. She just got tired of freeing up them
She's
head
like,
horses.
"Hey, these are just you're ruining past the point of no return. So you got to do something else."
Yeah, she said, "Let me ride the head horses. You just mess them heel horses up. You can handle the heel horses."
Oh man, that's great. So where do you guys go to next as far as rodeos go?
We'll go to the Clay Logan Roping this weekend, and then I go to Jackson, Mississippi, the 14th. Run them both there the 14th.
Okay. So it's a little bit spread out for the rest of the winter. You guys obviously, you got Houston and some bigger chances like that, and I think that's going to be that'll be kind of the fun deal, is if you guys are just one big hit away now from that $30,000 or $40,000 winner that everyone wants to have. So that's an awesome situation to be in, and you know it's just staying the course. You know, this doesn't just happen overnight; it's a whole year's work. So congratulations, man. I know that last year didn't kind of go the way you wanted, but it seems to, you know, you're now in a real good spot for this year, and that's because of those dues you've been paying.
Yeah, last year just made us mad. Now we're going to bear down and go ahead and do it.
Yeah,
there you go.
I like it, man. Well, thanks for coming on the show. Really appreciate it. You know, you get over here to Morgan Mill, Texas, and you know, need a spot, holler at us.
Perfect. Thanks, guys. I appreciate y'all having me.
You bet, Brye. Best of luck this year, and we'll be rooting for you.
Sounds good. Thanks, guys.
See ya.
See ya.
Oh man, I'm trying to think. I was probably like scrolling through Instagram and I'm like watching one of Buddy's runs. I'm like, this dude on this yellow horse, like you can barely see him. Like he like clears the box and the phone isn't zoomed in enough, but he like throws all of his rope and just ducks out of sight. And Buddy heals him. I'm like, Buddy's going like Buddy's makes the finals. Like he ain't going with just nobody out here to the west. And then I think the first place I seen him was Vernal, Utah, and that rodeo is pretty fast, anyways. And they're like 4.2 or 4.1. I don't know, but it was a ridiculous run, I thought, and I think there was a few like that. I was just like, this guy, he's crazy, man, and
he's just crazy talented with a rope. I mean, that kid from either end, put him head and heeling, doesn't matter. He can do it and is legit. Like, I mean, I think if he would have stuck with heading and just figured out how to get his horses to run and just kind of stuck with it longer, I'm sure he would have been successful as a header too.
Yeah. There's no doubt about it. He definitely has a ton of talent with a rope, and how he's kind of put it together is cool. And it's one of those guys you always want to cheer for because he's just happy-go-lucky guy. But seems like he's kind of grinding and staying with it, and I want to see him do really good. He's just one of those guys. And same with Jake. Jake has stayed with it.
Great guy.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're gonna have Clay Logan coming on here in just a minute. Stick with us, and we'll be right back.
Yep.
Okay, we got Clay Logan here. Clay, obviously, one of the first official video shoots with X Factor Roping. I appreciate you giving me a chance. That's been a long time ago. It's got to be 7-8 years ago now. And, I've gotten to know you over the years, and just a great guy. So thanks again, Clay, for coming on.
Oh, we appreciate it. We appreciate you having us on here and coming over in the future, giving us some good publicity and get out across to as many people as we can.
Yeah, no, it was awesome. So Clay, obviously, you've got a big roping coming up. This is going to be is this the third or the fourth year that you're doing this roping now?
This is the fourth year.
Okay. Well, what made you decide to kind of put on a big or open roping? Because that's how it started out. Was it your house and had added money? And what was the idea, and how has it evolved from there?
Well, the when it first started, Shane Boston actually have a roping over there for these guys, for having open money, getting with try to help the rodeo guys out before they would give them some other places to go. And so we had so right there the first year, Shane put up all the money and just more or less the added money and took care of everything for everyone. And we had the rope in there at the house, which it turned out great. It actually just didn't have any room to park by the time it was all said and done. And the cattle were good, and we had a really nice day. And actually, it was a super fun day and great roping. So it kind of went from there, and then I kind of outgrew my house, and then we moved it. And the next year that we had a good turnout. The open roping was good, and we added number 12 roping, which was real big that year. And that was about the time COVID, and they let everybody out of COVID. And I got in a wreck, and so I missed most of the roping itself. I tried to go down there for a little while, but I couldn't do it. So and then last year we went to Hamilton, and we had a good roping. And this year weather changed us, and so we're in Stephenville.
Well, that's kind of exciting to have it right here in Stephenville over at Lone Star Arena. X Factor Roping. We're going to broadcast the whole roping. That'll be this coming Sunday. So what are the steers going to be like, and what's this open? What's the setup going to be?
We went and broke in Shane. We bought about 200 steers there, and broke in all them cattle, sorted off what we kind of like we did the first year, and we put some runs on them there. I think we put 4 or 5 runs on those steers. We're going to put a couple of runs on them probably in the 13, and try to get everything sorted for the open there and make sure everything's good. And like I said, and then we have pretty fresh, strong cattle throughout the rest of the roping, I think, and hopefully. That's what we really tried to work for every time is to have everybody a fair chance at the roping and let it be a roping instead of really a drawing match. And we hope it continues to be that way. And as we know, there's always better end and the worse end, but we're at least putting the effort forth.
I think that's one of the biggest things is it's so hard to get cattle right. And, you'll see producers put a huge effort into it, and that it's a hard thing putting on a rope. And so, Clay, I really do appreciate you doing it, and then also adding. You guys have added a bunch of money, 20,000 added. So it's obviously one of the biggest opens of the whole year. So I think that's really cool to be able to do that. The amount of effort you guys put in, I think it just has created a really cool start to an open that I think will be around for a long time, and a lot of guys will start putting on their schedule to come to. So I think that makes it pretty fun too, right?
Well, yeah, we hope so, and that's what we're working towards, and we're working towards keeping the added money up and getting a little bit more. It's hard to get added money. Last year we did a lot, and Shane and I did. We more or less did a whole thing for nothing last year. And so we had to back off a little on our added money this year, but we're working towards getting it back up to where it was. And hopefully we'll have a great roping. And like I said, if it wasn't for people like Shane Boston, we really couldn't do this. He's the one that backs, he lets me put the roping on and help me put the roping on, but he's the one that sure enough, if it wasn't for Shane, he is the backbone of getting the sponsors, helping me with all this stuff. And then we're just trying to put things together. So I have a great partner in this.
Clay, you're also going to have a handful of numbered ropings too. I think, is it a 13, a 12, and 11, or what's the numbered ropings you're going to have this year also?
We're going to have a 13, and we're going to have a 12 warm-up roping on Friday, and then on Saturday we're going to have a number 12, and we're going to have a number 10. And on Sunday we're going to have the open, and then the pro-am in the first arena. We're going to have the girls breakaway in the second arena on Sunday.
Is this the first year you've had a breakaway roping, or have you done that in the past?
We had one last year. It went over real good. It was on Friday, and which is like, it was kind of a learning curve for us on some of this stuff. So anyways, hopefully it sounds like we already have quite a few entered for the roping. So hopefully it'll be really good.
Yeah. And do you have added money in the numbered ropings as well?
Yes.
Is that what I've seen on the flyer?
Yes. We have added money in every open. We tried to make it this year, not just for our sponsors, but for the open guys and everybody. But we added money I think we had 10,000 in the 13, and we had 15,000 in the 12, and we had 10 in the number 10, and the breakaways got 5,000 added. And we kind of wanted to, everybody that buys ropes, everybody that so wears a hat, has spurs made, goes on a rope, sells horses, this, that, whatever. There's weekend people, and we kind of wanted to spread that out to where everybody could go rope for a little bit more prize money and enjoy the roping, and not just be. We're trying to just not be one dimensional. We want to try to make this to where it's people are looking forward to coming to it, and they can stick around, and we'll have a Calcutta and kind of have some fun with it.
I think that's what's so fun about the whole atmosphere there, right? Is you guys like to have a good time anyways, and I think the whole goal with this, was when you did start with an open rope, and I think that makes it pretty special. And I think the biggest thing that I want to know is putting on a rope, and when you go to do something like this for open ropers, what's the biggest challenge to putting on a real big roping like this for open guys?
The biggest challenge, I think, is probably going to is the cattle, and try to get the setup to where, we want it to be a roping. I don't want it to be, we don't want them to be, I really don't want it to be over the gates. I want it to have to go use their horse a little bit. And we've had it in some bigger arenas, and it'll be interesting to be in a little smaller arena this year and have the cattle strapped out a little bit and make them horsepower kind of have to stand out, hopefully.
Yeah, and I think the cool thing, Lone Star moved their boxes over 10 or 15 feet.
Yeah, they did. Looks like they've done a great job fixing things up over there. It looks like we're excited to be over there.
Yeah, I think it's one of those where when you set the score, if you end up setting it too short, and it might look like it's right early on in the roping, but then it can get real fast, and then sometimes you could set it just a touch too long, and we're talking 6 inches one way or another when you're setting a barrier, and,
exactly.
and that really influences the roping on how it turns out. So it's a big challenge for setting those up, and I know you kind of got to have the idea. So do you know how long the boxes are going to be over there, and the score will be?
You know what? We're going to get in there and kind of look at our situation, and before I kind of say what it's going to be, and we're going to run some steers through tomorrow, and just kind of get everything set up, and then I'll have a better idea. I hate to just kind of throw it out that way, but I want to be right before I tell you. I don't want it to be misinformation.
Yeah.
James Watson's gonna put the roping on for us. James does a great job. He puts on a lot of World Series ropings. We appreciate James bringing some cattle, and he's also gonna help us with all the ropings. And like I said, we're gonna get in there and we'll get a little input from a few of these guys at Rodeo, and we're gonna try to get it set up to where everybody's gonna enjoy it, and it's gonna be a good strong roping.
Since James is putting it on your numbered ropings, Clay, are they World Series qualifiers or no? Or are they just big added money jackpots
No,
that these guys get to
just
come
added
to?
just added money jackpots.
Yeah,
Just added money jackpots. Yes,
well,
we haven't got that far up in the scale yet.
yeah, I guess kind of my last question for you is, like, you've done a lot to grow this roping over the years, and I think I've been to every one of them, and it's always been a great roping. What are you looking forward to in the future next year and after that to keep growing it and making it better? And what's your visions for it in the next few years to come?
Well, we'd like to make sure and get a little more money added for the Open. That's our biggest thing we'd like to do. But I think we'd like to add, through the year, I'd like to add another Open in it, whether it be a number 14 or a number 9, or maybe both. If we can do it all and make a 4-day rope, and would be outstanding if we could do it. I mean, that's kind of what we'd like it to grow to, where everybody has a chance to go rope in their category and whatever they want to do, and hopefully stay around and watch a great open roping, and a great, like I said, then right next door is going to be an Open of the World Breakaway, and so we're trying to make it where it's pretty exciting for everybody to come and walk.
Well, that's great. And it's not like it's a small little. The number opens are small. I don't remember how much it paid last year, but the year before, do you remember how much the 12 paid out before the Open started?
The year before, I don't. Like I said, I wasn't there. I think it paid. I know last year it paid about 20,000 a man to win.
Yeah.
In the 12 last year.
Yeah. So
I can't remember what it paid the year before. I was like I said, I was a little under the weather there.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I just remember that 12's been a huge rope. It pays 40,000 man in it. Yeah. Just it's a great rope, and everything is so.
I think last year we had 400 teams, and that's a lot of teams. And I don't expect us to get that many, but he did have a great rope, and and hopefully, like I said, hopefully people will want to come attend it. So,
well, I know. You've started your horse business a long time ago, and you've been very successful at that, and then this all kind of ties in together. With how successful you've been in the show horse industry and the horse business all together, and now you're starting to put on these ropings. And I mean, it's been always a roping that I've looked forward to going to every year, and I have no doubts that it'll be the same this year. And if it wasn't for people like you and Shane Boston that puts this stuff together, I know you don't get enough thank yous throughout the day and throughout the weeks, because there's a lot more that goes into it than just, we're here Wednesday, and I think your Open starts Friday, and I know you're busy and got a lot of stuff going on, but there's a lot more that goes into it than people think, and we can't thank you enough for everything that you do for the Open ropers and everybody else as well.
Well, we appreciate you guys, and we appreciate you, everything, and we're happy, we're glad to do it, and we're, like I said, it's really fun watching, and we're excited for the roping to come about. So, and we like our format. I like the enter one, draw one. It kind of gives somebody shows up, they're going to be able to draw a great partner in this roping, and then they can rope their second partner. So we tried not to cut anybody out once again, and hopefully it'll turn out great.
Yeah, I think that's a great format. I love the pick one, draw one. I don't love the idea of guys getting a third run that's their like normal third run. Those opens get those it's harder on the guys that just are not that top tier that you still need to come enter those opens. And I think this format really fits that perfectly. And then with the added money, it's just it's a no-brainer. I think it's a really great roping.
Yeah, that's what we were hoping it'd work that way, and like I said, that way they still have their second partner, but then anybody gets to draw whoever in the roping, which is good. I think it's fun. It's kind of nice to watch some teams rope together you've never seen rope together, and actually they look, they rope great and get that opportunity. There's some young guys that rope outstanding to get that opportunity to rope with some world champions that they maybe wouldn't get to rope with otherwise.
Yeah, no, that's exactly right. It's a great opportunity for everybody involved. So
yeah. Well, Clay, thanks again. We appreciate you coming on. And, once again, we're X Factor Roping. We're going to broadcast it this Sunday, so we're looking forward to it, and we really do appreciate everything you've done to help build this roping up and all the added money. And I know it's a lot of work.
Well, thank you guys very much, and we're looking forward to seeing you then on Friday or on Sunday.
See you, Clay.
All right, bye-bye.
I think that's the one thing too about that pick one, draw one format is there's a lot of guys that rope really good. When they draw one of those, they draw a guy, one of the guys, and they get a chance. It really does, like kind of what Brye was saying earlier, it kind of gives you one of those chances to showcase what you can do. And I think that's it's a really good format to use. I know like the Capitalist had done that in the past, and there's other people, other people or producers that have done that, and it seems like it works pretty good to do a big open like that.
Yeah, I think so too. I know just from experience, you go enter one of them ropings, and I mean, you're hoping to draw. Like for me, I guess a couple years ago, I drew Chad Masters at one, and had a great opportunity, took advantage of it, ended up winning a check at the open, and it's like, I don't get that opportunity every day, and there's a lot of people like me that need to go to the roping and don't get to rope with Chad or Luke or Clay Smith or Snow or Driggers you can name 10 more too, but that format fits a lot of people and it makes it fair. And like he said, it's interesting to watch guys that normally don't rope together that make great runs and a lot of times win a good check in them ropings too.
Yep, I agree. All right, well, we're going to get Kelsey on here in just a minute. We'll go to break right fast and come back with Kelsey. RPX Enterprises, specializing in supplementing the American cowboy. Everything from energy to joint pain to general health and wellness. All right, I know this is an easy company for us to get behind, Dustin, because you've told me a little bit about taking some of the supplements to help out your shoulder. So what was your experience like with RPX?
It was great. I took RPX when I started to have shoulder problems again, and I literally changed nothing with diet, exercise, anything like that. I just took the products, and it really helped my shoulder. I went from not being able to rope very many steers to I could practice all day long and have very little to no pain in my shoulder at all. And I know a lot of ropers have shoulder pain is a pretty common problem for a lot of ropers. So it'd be cool to go check them out and see what they're all about.
Yeah, that's myzingular.com for more information and to order your products. That's myxyngular.com, myzingular.com. We really do appreciate working with these companies, and if you support them, that helps us keep growing and keep doing what we want to do with this.
All right, welcome back to the XFR Talk Show. We have our next guest, a 9-time WPRA World Champion and the recent Breakaway champion of the Fort Worth Stock Show and Rodeo. Also recently married, Kelsey Domer, formerly known as Kelsey Chase, is how I know you. But welcome, Kelsey, and welcome to the show, and thanks for coming on for us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Well, Breakaway has exploded in the last couple of years. I guess first off, what's it been like to see the growth of the sport through your eyes, and how have you kind of been able to take advantage of these new opportunities that you Breakaway ropers have been able to experience?
Man, it's been awesome. I was talking to somebody the other day. I've kind of been in the middle of it. I haven't been through all of it like some Breakaway ropers, but I can even remember when I was starting, not every amateur rodeo had Breakaway around us, so it was, I kind of have got to see a lot of aspects change, but man, it's been so cool. It's been a huge event. And this year we actually truly get to winter rodeo, which, has never happened. So, Fort Worth, San Antonio, Houston, all that. So it's pretty exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. I guess you made the NFR this last year. That was your first NFR qualification. Is that right?
Yep.
Okay. So they had the NFR in Texas the first year. And then now last year it's in Vegas. Just
right.
To put it to you straight, was it kind of a letdown to not have the Breakaway roping in the Thomas and Mack? And even if it wasn't during the perf, but obviously that's the goal. That's what you guys want, is to be in the perf at the Thomas and Mack, just like all the other events. But was it kind of a letdown to just not even have it in the Thomas and Mack and have to be off grounds?
Yeah, in a sense. I think, really the main thing with us is probably the money. We were going at $4,000 rounds compared to their 20-something $1,000 rounds. And so that was kind of the big thing for us. But shoot, I mean, just like anybody else, I want to run one in the Thomas and Mack too. I would love to do that tomorrow, but I would sacrifice that to get equal headed money first. So, I mean, I think the big thing, at Vegas this year, it ran off really good. I think the Breakaway Open at the Orleans was awesome, but not a lot of people knew about it. And so that was kind of frustrating to us. It was hard to, bring more people in. A lot of people, were like, hey, when do you rope? It's like, well, we're already done. We've already done it. And it was, in the middle of the day on a Monday, Tuesday, but that was kind of frustrating on our end that we needed a little more help kind of spread the news that way.
Kelsey, congratulations on getting married, by the way. And I know you've had this has been a big year. And what I'm curious is, when it seemed like the PRCA has had a breakaway roping for 2 years, correct? This is the third year.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, pretty much.
Okay. So this is going into the third year. So year 2, it looked like they were going to have them everywhere. And my impression was it's just going to be at the Thomas and Mack. Like, it's just normal. Like, hey, they're running the breakaway ropers in the perf. They've got standings. Right. It's got the field. Like, were you under the impression when you kind of started rodeoing this last year that the breakaway roping was going to be at the Thomas and Mack during the NFR?
I mean, I think we were hopeful, but being a breakaway roper, we've learned not to just count on some certain things. And so we kind of got to keep it real and not, I guess, to get too focused on something like that. But, just like you said, we were hoping that, every rodeo had it and stuff like that. And we still had struggles this last summer. We had to pass 2 or 3 rodeos on the way to the next one because, they didn't have breakaway open. And then, we might travel all across the country to go to Ellensburg and rope for 1,500 added compared to the 25,000 added, the other events get. So that's what makes it hard. We have to go all the miles everybody else does, but a lot less rodeos. So, and a lot less money, really.
Yeah, I guess I didn't realize that the same added money rules don't apply as far as, I know it's like equal money, and then the team rope, and it can be half the money that's added. So like, if bull riding has 10,000 added, team roping can add 5,000, and then it can get split up down to 2,500 a man. Yeah. So you can add like half as much money as like the top event. But I guess they don't have that rule for the breakaway ropers.
We kind of roped for anything and anything we can get, really, at some point. So that's it's kind of been hard for us. Where do we draw the line? We're trying to get a foot in, and we're, very thankful for the rodeos that have had us, and, the opportunities that we have gotten. But it's like, man, at what point can we get a little extra help?
Well, and that's what, so I'm really proud of all of you girls, because everyone has conducted themselves very professionally. They've been excited to be part of rodeos. And then I think there's been times like Cheyenne, that was probably my favorite event to watch, was the breakaway roping at Cheyenne. And it really is entertaining. And how you guys have conducted yourselves is great, because you're kind of dealing with a lot of bullshit, I would say, because it's, I mean, those deals like that. I guess I'm confused. How does the rules and like the process for this, how does it get put into motion, and how do you guys, what's the game plan for trying to get this where it's an actual mainstream pro rodeo and event, where it is treated just the same as all the other events at the rodeos?
Yeah, man, that's the magic question. A lot of times we've asked, whether it be the PRCA or WPRA, whatever, like, hey, what can we do to help? Because, I feel like as a whole, like you said, we've showed up, we've got the membership, we've kind of done our time showing up for anything and everything. And so we're there. We've done everything for that. And so we're just trying to figure out, like, hey, what can we do to help? Because it seems like we get told something from one side and they point fingers to the other side. And so we go to that side and they point fingers back. And so that's kind of been frustrating. But, we're, like last year, we got a new WPRA president. We got a vote again this year. And so we're getting some changes in the WPRA, and I hope we're going the right direction. But just stuff like that, we don't even know the answers, because we don't know exactly who to go to and who to get help from.
So the disconnect is a lot of it is between the WPRA and the PRCA. Is that where you're getting it? Because like the WPRA essentially has their kind of rules, and then they like coincide with the PRCA rules. Is that what's kind of happening there?
Yeah, I think so. Because actual membership wise, like the PRCA gets 85% of our membership and the WPRA gets 15%. But then on the WPRA side, they do a lot of the books and other stuff. And so it's kind of hard, from one standpoint, one association says, hey, we do everything. And then the other side, they're like, no, we kind of do a lot of stuff too, which, I'm not going to throw either one under the bus. I think they're both doing a lot, but everybody just has to get on the same page and try to get it figured out.
So like, what do you think you guys as breakaway ropers and, Larry D and Jackie I think that they're probably the two main staples that have come before your time that have really pushed for it. But what do you guys think you could do as a collective group to get this to where you do have equal money? And I think there's a rule in there that a long time ago it passed where, not team roping wasn't even a required event to be a pro rodeo, to where you guys are kind of going through the same thing right now. As a collective group, what do you think are some ideas that have you guys talked about it? Like, hey, I think if we pitch this to them, or how can we go about it to get this deal done?
Yeah, we've talked and we've tried to come together, but it's so hard. We've got to get everybody on the same page. I mean, you guys know that. And we've even talked too, we know that the team ropers have already gone through it. So let's skip some of the steps that you guys had to take. You've already kind of gone through all that stuff and the crap. And so it's like, hey, what can we do to kind of hustle this part along, I guess. I don't know, it's hard because I think, a lot of us, and I don't know if the right words are say to take a stand, but, let's all get on the same page and say, hey, let's support these rodeos that are doing a great job and that are, adding the money and doing whatever. But how do you tell somebody not to enter the other rodeos? We don't want to be shitty like that, I guess, and not just go to them. But shoot, it's hard, just like the Ellensburg thing, like that weekend, me personally, I had to go there to get my tour rodeo count. So I needed to go to those rodeos over there. But, in that same weekend, you could have been at a rodeo in North Dakota, back-to-back rodeos with 3,000 added. And so you could have saved, one spot that paid more than the Ellensburg rodeo, but I needed that count because I wanted to be at Salinas, later on in the year. So it's just hard, half of us were split that way, but half of us needed the count and half of us wanted to go for better money.
And I think that's kind of just the vicious cycle of rodeo, is it not? I mean, it's that way in every event. I remember there's rodeos that we've gone to that's like, I really don't want to go, but I need to go. Like, I remember one time I was trying to get the Canadian count. I had to go to a little rodeo in Canada and drive 12 hours up there to get my count to make the finals, and that's just, it's part of rodeo, and it's sometimes it's good and sometimes it's bad, but it's just part of it. But to shift gears a little bit, I want to take you all the way back to NWOJR and about the 12 to 14 age group. I think we all kind of rodeoed together back then. Back when you were in that age group, did you ever think you would be a multi-world champion and be able to rope at a huge rodeo like that in the breakaway roping at Fort Worth and then to win it also, and then to make the NFR? And I mean, there's so much has changed. Back as a young kid, did you ever dream of things like this that your life's turned into now?
Probably not then, honestly, no. Because, back then, I knew people were amateur rodeoing in the breakaway, but really after college, that was, there was really nothing. Like it was, we high school rodeoed, and then I knew college rodeo was getting to be pretty big, or whatever. But after that, it's like, shoot, there was nothing. So there was really nothing for me to look up to. And at that point, I was naive about a lot of stuff. I mean, that was kind of the area we grew up in, I guess. Yeah. We had, we jackpot team roped and junior rodeoed. But, shoot, just like you, we were in everything else, all the other sports and stuff like that. And so I really, I guess, never had that dream that young. It took to getting, later on in high school and then in college to kind of realize what I could do, especially in my event. As a team roper, everything was good on your end, but in the breakaway roping, it grew a lot in my high school and college years. It flourished then, and then it never stopped.
So going into it, obviously this year's you're off to a really good start with Fort Worth. When they have a rodeo like that, what did the format pay in the semis and all that? And then how much were you able to win out of Fort Worth this year?
Through my set and the wild card in the semifinals, I think I won a little over 6,000, and then winning the finals was 20,000. So right at 26,000, but which is huge. Like right now, I have a little bit more won, in February than I did when I made the finals last year. And so, that's pretty exciting to get that big jump. But shoot, it's huge, for the Breakaway Open. Yeah, I got to win that going through all the semifinals and my sets, but that 20,000 makes a pretty huge difference at the end.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. And it's good to see Fort Worth step up and do that. Cause I think that's a huge win, and when you can get those, I think that's what the whole rodeo, season is like. There's some of those bigger rodeos that you need to hit at if you're going to rope for world titles and make the NFR. And it's really hard to justify it or make money just grinding it out for $1,500 to $2,500 checks. You really do need to have those opportunities where you can win those big checks. So I think that's really cool.
Sure.
I feel like it's going in the right way. You know what I mean? Like with Breakaway, and I'm a big fan. I think the big challenge for the girls is how to get it treated like another event at a rodeo. And then,
Right.
and I think that's an argument that a lot of us team ropers have got into is, well, we always say we want equal money, and there'll be a rodeo like West Jordan, Utah, with 10 or 12,000 added in the bull riding and the rough stock, and the team roping will have, 2,500 or, a little bit more per side in the team, for a header and healer. So it's like 5,000 or 6,000.
Sure.
And you're like, man, this really sucks when these guys their rodeo pays as good as Livingston, and ours is paying $1,700. And,
Right.
and I think that's something that it's odd that we don't have like clear leadership, I guess, to start putting these things together. And I think that's where it probably needs to start, is who do we talk to, who leads and who votes, and then how we all can kind of work together on it, right? Is that something that you guys are just constantly trying to figure out or trying to put in play?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's what I always go back to, yeah, usually the big deal, which is great. I want the NFR to be a big topic and figure that out too. But man, it goes back to so much more than that. Even right now, not every circuit has a circuit finals with Breakaway in it, and that you're not even really quote unquote treated equal there in the circuits. And so I think that's something we can go for. And then just, getting more rodeos on board to have us. A lot of times we get the excuse, they don't have enough parking, which I truly believe that, because how many times have we been to places and it's like, holy cow, how are we going to get in and out of here? Well, it's, people don't want to change. They don't want to add another slack. That's more money on them and stuff like that, in which we understand that, we get it, but it's like, hey, how can we prove to you that we're going to bring more money into your town, spend money at your town and buy diesel or whatever. And, hey, it's going to be worth it to add that extra day. But it goes back to a lot of stuff, just like that, yeah, every, the barrels in the Breakaway is co-approved, so, not every rodeo has to have that, but the barrel racing is, proven over and over again, and they have fans. And so of course they're going to have the barrel racing. And so we just need to make sure we can get every rodeo committee to say, hey, and understand, like, the Breakaway is going to do that same thing. You're going to have just as many runs come in on that, and, have some fans there. But even if you don't have any more fans, just like, a lot of people say that in the NFR, you can't sell any more tickets in the NFR. It's been sold out for years. And so we can't, that's not one of the things we can push. We can't sell any more tickets, but, it's Breakaway as a whole is just going to help the industry. You know what I mean? We're going to bring stuff in, to each rodeo committee or whatever, and, horses, whatever. So that's kind of has to be our, I guess, bargaining deal. Because, if it's based on tickets, then yeah, we can't bring any more money into your NFR, or even some other places, but we can do a lot of other things, I think, that people might not think about.
So I looked at this, I ran across this the other day, and it might not have been updated completely at the time, but it said that you had more money won right now because you're number one in the world in the breakaway than the
Mm-hmm.
number one girl in the barrel racing. And I personally, honestly, it shocked me. I'm like, that can't be right, just because of all the struggles you guys have been through, you know. But it's got to kind of at least make you feel like you got a little pat on the back, like, hey, maybe we are kind of starting to hit a stride here and starting to really gain some traction with the breakaway deal. Because I think it said you have 31,001 right now. Is that right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So, I mean, it's got to kind of at least be like, okay, maybe there is a light at the end of the tunnel on this deal, right?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's exciting. And that goes back to we finally get to win a rodeo. And, you know, Fort Worth was one of the first rodeos, if not the first one, to be on board for equal added money. And so we were equal just like every other event. So that helps. But we've got to go there, you know, Odessa, a couple places, you know, even like Rapid City and that one in North Dakota didn't have breakaway in the last couple of weeks. And so that kind of stunk for us. But still, we're getting to be in more rodeos and having that equal added money. So it does give us a chance to be up there right now and have the same money won. You know, at the end of the year, is it going to be the same? Probably not, but at least we have a start now and we can, you know, keep pushing forward and get to that. But shoot, we might. I mean, there's a chance. We get to go to San Antonio. We get to go to Houston. You know, everybody thinks we're equal added money at Houston, but we're not. Yes, the winner is going to win, you know, the 50,000, but we only get to go to one perf compared to 3 that y'all get to go to. So, you know, the money in between is going to be a little bit different, but I mean, it's a start. I mean, we got into Houston, so that's awesome.
Yeah.
There's a lot of challenges. And I think that's the one thing that can get misunderstood is it's just like parking. You know, that's how many times we've been to Reno and we're like, man, this is a train wreck over here at Reno. They asked me why I didn't vote for it for Rodeo of the Year one time. And I said, because I can't park. Literally, they tried to make me park off site. And I was like, I mean, it's just, I hate stuff like that. But I think what goes into all of this is the committees have to add more money. They have to raise more money to add another event. And then you have, it is a big event and there's slack, it costs more to produce slacks. You got more and you got to pay for stock contractors that they got to have. And, you know, you also got to get your volunteers or people that help with the rodeos. And so there's tons of moving parts. But I think there's also so many things like, well, what makes the NFR so special? And I think it kind of inspires the whole sport. And so when you say, you know, that you couldn't sell any more tickets, but I think you watch the girls that would have lined up at the NFR this year on that stage. What would that do for the sport, for rodeo? Who's like young lives that you're going to change, that inspire? I mean, we just had Junior on and he was talking about how growing up they watched the NFR. That's the only thing they saw was the NFR on TV, and so they just thought that was how you roped in America. And I think that's something that gets overlooked really easily, but I think it's really important to understand is how those big platforms and then how you guys also have conducted yourselves too, because I mean, it might feel slow, but maybe if you look at it in 5 years from now, it'll be a lot. The way it's going to be in a really good situation. So I wish it was better for you girls, but at the same time, I am excited that it's going this way now. You know, the fact that Houston does have a breakaway roper that can win 50,000, you just win 20,000. These are great opportunities now. Because you're roping for a living and you're making a good living, and that wasn't a real thing 4 years ago. Really, not. I mean, it maybe 4 or 5 was
less
the
than
first,
that, maybe even 2.
Yeah, and maybe like WCRA was kind of first one to like really get the ball rolling that way. So this is a wild thing to have, is to add another event at a rodeo. So I know it's tough, but I can't believe there's not more clarity with what's going to happen, the plan. And it's just like, hey, we're just going to throw this in there a couple times, see how it works. And then I think maybe a lot of committees really liked it. And it was like experiences like I had or whatever, that, man, this was as much fun to watch as anything else at the rodeo. So, hey, it's good.
And that's been a good, I mean, thing really, we haven't really got any negative, things from committees. So that's been nice. You like every time we left a rodeo this last summer or anything like that, it's like, hey, thanks for coming. And we're like, no, thanks for having us. So that's been really good. We've got a lot of positivity there. And like you said, junior watching the NFR, that made me think, Jackie said it first, but then I realized it too out in Vegas. This was the first time, somebody would walk by or a little girl would walk by and like, hey, that's a breakaway roper. And they didn't think we were barrel racers, which was awesome. They were like, hey, that's a breakaway roper and she's here for the NFR. And so that was pretty cool because, in years past, people didn't think that. Yeah, you had some people that knew who you were, but, other than that, they asked you, how was your barrel run the night before? They just had no idea because you're a girl, in your cowboy clothes
hat.
out there,
yeah.
signing autographs. And so that was pretty special this year. People actually knew, or they asked like, hey, are you a breakaway roper? When do you rope? We'd really like to watch. And so we did have some of those. And that was exciting. So that obviously we're going somewhere, and that's pretty cool to think about.
So Kelsey, looking ahead to the rest of this year, you said San Antonio is going to have breakaway, right?
Yep. I'm the very first roper at San Antonio Thursday.
So you'll get to kick it off the right way. You'll set the arena record first off.
Perfect. Yeah, I'm game.
Yeah. So then and then Houston, and I think San Angelo's in April this year. But what do you think it's going to take to make the finals in the breakaway roping this year compared to years past? Because it looks like there's going to be more money.
Right. I know. That's what I asked Jackie yesterday. I'm like, man, what do you think? She's like, I don't know. Obviously you got a pretty good start and that's exciting, but that's kind of what we were thinking about, really, what is it going to take this time? Because I was last year with, a little over 31,001, I was 10th going into the NFR. And so, having that already, obviously that helps, but, there's no way you can back off. You've got just like, San Antonio, Houston, Reno again. We don't know exactly what those rodeos are going to bring and if the money's going to be different or whatever, but we've already looked on some of our schedules and there's been, more added than last year already. So it'll be exciting to see actually how much it's going to take.
I think that's pretty awesome. What about, Fort Worth the other day? This is obviously one of the biggest winter rodeos. It's a really fun atmosphere. Do you get nervous? You've been nervous here lately? I know you've won a lot and you're pretty good about managing emotions, but I feel like here these last few months you've had a lot going on. Is that something like mentally, you've got to stay a little more even keel when you get in an atmosphere like that? Or how do you try to treat those bigger rodeos or bigger runs like that when you come back to the finals like that?
Yeah, I mean, of course you're excited. I'll never say that I don't get nervous, but I try to turn the nerves into, something positive, I guess, adrenaline, whatever it may be. But I know 2 years ago when we had Fort Worth, I didn't make it out of my set. I didn't even make it to the wild card, and I made 2 good runs. And so this year going into it, I'm like, man, you kind of got to go at them. That's just how the format is, just like that. The last time I got to go, I made 2 great runs, made a little bit of money, but it wasn't near enough. And shoot, even this year, in my set, I was 2-1 and 2-2 and didn't make the semifinals. I had to go through the wild card first. And so that's pretty crazy. I mean, that's just how tough our event, any event can be, but in that type of setup, you have to win, first or second pretty much every time to kind of get out of your set. And so there was no hanging back. You pretty much had to go at them and keep at it and shoot. By the time I went in the finals, there was already a 1-9 and a 2-1. And so there was no other option but to go fast. You couldn't. I had 2 people after me, and so there wasn't just go make a good run and get some money. It's like, hey, go be fast, then try to get money. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But going slow is not going to work either. So,
yeah, Kelsey, my last question for you, and I don't know if Pace knows about this, but with breakaway roping exploding and it getting so big, are you going to back off on the tie down roping a little bit this year and focus a little bit more on the breakaway? Because I don't know if Pace knows, but she is a badass tie down roper.
I knew she tied it down a little bit, but
I remember seeing her at Frosty's the first time I ever seen her tie one down at Shannon Frost's house, and I was like, at the trailer a ways from the arena, like, who is here tying Kevs down? And it was like she was blowing through them like it was nothing nice.
Yeah.
And I walk, I'm like, that's Kelsey. Holy shit. So
Nice.
are you going to back off on the tie down roping this year, or are we going to still be after
Yeah,
that?
we've kind of backed off the last couple of years just because there really isn't, many jackpots with the tie down anymore for the all girl, but and also shoot rodeo. And that's a different thing for us breakaway ropers is we don't get to jackpot as much, and that's kind of what we've, always, I guess, fallen back on. That was kind of our guarantee. We're going to have some badass jackpots. That's where we can go back our money. So, yeah, with the rodeo, and I definitely have backed off on the tie down.
There you go. We just had Clay Logan on. I'm sure you'll be at his breakaway roping this weekend.
Yep, I'll be there Sunday morning.
Perfect.
Well, Kelsey, thank you. We'll see you Sunday morning, and good work this year, and good luck through the rest of it as well.
Yeah, thanks, y'all.
That is the wildest thing to think. I like the more.
I feel like your mind's kind of blown right now.
Well, there's so many things too, right? To the whole to add an event to rodeo. Think, oh well, why can't we just add a little more money, add the event? Well, then you got all the logistics. There's pins. There's stock contractors. There's how much parking you have. Like there's so many variables.
The committee man's got to know, hey, we're going to have slack run 2 hours longer today because we have 100 breakaway ropers entered.
But damn it seemed like when they were doing it, it's like, hey, this is going to be at the Thomas and Mack, and then they basically run a slack out off grounds for them.
Honestly, this is no lie. I honestly had no idea when it was.
Yeah,
and I feel like I pay attention pretty good to most things. And I had no clue when it was. I knew it was in Vegas. I knew it was at the Orleans. I had no idea when it was, though. So, and I wasn't even out there. But if I was and I wanted to go watch, I had no idea when it was. And that's mind-blowing to me. I mean, you're crowning a world champion, and a lot of people don't even know when it's happening, And because I found out when it was, like she was talking about, the person's like, hey, we want to come watch your rope. And she was like, yeah, well, we already did yesterday and it's over. That's how I found out about it. Like, I was like, man, I wonder when the breakaway is. And then I see the results like, oh, well, I think it's Sawyer Gilbert or whoever won the world. And I'm like, oh, well, she won the world. Well, glad I knew about it. Like that's just, it's mind boggling to me.
Yeah. The platform that they were given wasn't what I was expecting.
Yeah.
And it's also hard to build a new event, and that's essentially what it was because it wasn't with anything else, right? So yeah, all the branding and how to build awareness, but it's crazy. I think it's a good thing though. I think the girls are really good for the sport. I don't think they take away from any of the other events. I think it's just more membership to the PRCA. It's a good event to watch. It's fast. You got girls, crowd likes that. They've always liked the barrel racing. So I think there's a lot of great things to come from it. So hopefully we can start seeing that. And when they say like selling tickets, it might mean more ticket sales throughout the whole year and different things like that. So I hope it works. I don't know. It's just wild to think that was the situation they were put in. But and maybe everyone just kind of ran with that same thought that I had, like, hey, they're having it at all these rodeos. It's going to be at the Thomas and Mack this year. So
right. Yeah. No, I agree. It's hopefully I think they're on the right track. I think they're making headway and they're getting there. The process just might take longer than some people are patient enough for. But,
yeah. Well, should we wrap this episode number 2 up, or what's the deal?
Yeah, I guess we're going to wrap this up. So
I was thinking just how they do it on like Sports Center, and they like start tossing the papers.
Throw the paper out there. Yeah.
Yeah.
We could do that.
All right, man. Well, thanks. I thought that was a great show. Obviously some pretty cool insight from a pretty wide variety today. We had juniors perspective, which I thought was great, to a guy like Braiden Kreitz coming up, and then obviously Clay with the rope and producer side of things. And I thought that's pretty cool. I really appreciate a guy stepping up there and putting on an open like that. That's awesome. And then also Kelsey, she is awesome. I've just known her a little bit. She's great, and I think she's really, really good for Breakaway. And
she's an absolute beast on a horse, horsemanship, roping. I mean, she's just super talented.
She can saw it off the neck.
Oh my word! Yeah,
it's pretty crazy. All right, man.
Impressive.
Well, let's wrap this thing up. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you. we'll see y'all next time.
That was nice at the end. See you
Oh,
next
like that?
time.
Yes.
Yep. See ya.